Hey, so this is my first video. I'm 37 years old. My name is Christina, and I am a carnivore, a hardcore carnivore, because I'm going to share with you why, and that's a part of this whole story with my illnesses that I used to struggle with every day to handle and stuff like that. So I'm gonna start with 4 years ago, where when I started with this kind of diet where I eat only meat with a lots of fat. You can actually see in my fridge. Follow me here. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, so this is all I have in my fridge. A lot of bone marrow, some meat and liver, and some fat to fry my meat with. So that's it. It's very simple. It's a very interesting kind of diet, but it's hard, of course, in the starting it. But anyway, for 4 years, uh, 4 years I've been doing this, and the reason why is I had endometriosis, which is a sickness that affects about 15% of all women. I also struggle with mental illness, with depression, and I was sick very, very often, with like a cold in my throat or with my stomach. Um, yeah, so, but anyway, my endometriosis history, um, I I was having more and more pain every day. And once a month, I had this tremendous, hurtful, undescribable pain that makes you want to die. That, like, I so wished that I died before that attack would happen, because it was like something that you just don't want to experience ever. Uh, I was lying on the floor, um, not being able to sit up. Just I could have so much pain. I was throwing up, and things were wanted to come out, and in the back end too, and it was just awful. And I mean, sometimes I could have enough energy or less pain that for just a few seconds before the attack set in really hard, I could grab something like my phone and I could reach 911. Otherwise, it was, yeah, I don't want to imagine how it would be otherwise. But anyway, I lay down on the floor and waited for the ambulance to come, because that was the only way that I could get out and up on my feet. I I mean, once the attack set in, I was if you're not dressed, you're not dressed. I mean, you stop caring about that, of course. Uh, and the doctors can't really give you anything other than hormones, so-called hormones. They're synthetic, of course, and they don't really work that well, according to studies. But that's the only thing that they have to offer you. And my doctor was so, yeah, she told me that if I wouldn't do this, I would end up in the operating table, dying one day, because they wouldn't be able to see what is what with endometriosis, because the organs just grow into each other and start, like, it's so hard with all the scars and all the cells, the endometric cells, uh, to see what they're taking out and not. So, uh, So I really wanted to make a huge, humongous difference. I had tested ketogenic diet before through my boyfriend. I was so incredibly lucky that I had my boyfriend who had been doing this and searched the whole thing with diets, and I've been researching it as well. And so I started with that, but I went even further for in a in well, according to people's experiences, carnivore diet was even more efficient. So I wanted to take the safe bet and go for carnivore. And I know it sounds weird because it's only meat, and you wouldn't think that vegetables could hurt you, but they can. Unfortunately, they're not into our survival, but this their own survival, of course. They can't move and they can't flee from any predator, so they create toxins that affect you. Um, but of course, there are other things that are worse, like gluten, like a lot of junk food that you can eat. Uh, but my experience doing this was the first half year was a bit concerning. I was wondering if I would still have these attacks, even though like the attacks weren't as rough anymore. They were really so much lighter. Like it was just 1/10 out of the pain that I used to have. But they were coming more seldomly, so every third month instead of every month. And I was grateful for that, and I had a lot less pain in my everyday life. I didn't have any pain really. It was went away really quickly, and my stomach, which used to be like a pregnant stomach, went away, and I was getting more and more healthy, more and more energy, like up in the head. I was experiencing less brain fog, but I used to have like a lot of brain fog, and I used to be so tired after work, and I used to not being able to do anything, not having any hobbies after work, because I couldn't really be very active. And I also suffered from depression, even though it wasn't as deep depression that I used to have. It lasted for 6 months, and that's such a long time, and that it's seen to be um, like chronic. Uh, but it went away, so I was tremendously happy for that as well. But mostly, I was really happy about the endometriosis, and not being sick every other week was also really nice. I used to have these urine infections uh, so often, so often, and it was awful. I went to the hospital so often. I was like sick in my throat, sick in my stomach, uh, and if I hadn't gone to the carnivore diet, I would probably still be sick, and maybe I would have to be in a wheelchair, or maybe they would like have to operate on me so many times that I would have lots of scars. And I haven't been operated on one ever one single time. I don't have any scars. I don't have any pain. I don't have any issues at all with endometriosis. Also, another thing is that I had my period every third month. That's like bad. That's not normal. So I could have, I don't know, maybe I had PCOS, uh, which makes it really hard to get children, for example. But now I have it extremely regularly on the date, like on the 28th, my period comes. So it's like a male, very fortunate. Yeah, so, but thank you for listening to me. This is a starter, and I hope you enjoyed. And hit the